It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day, about 90 minutes on YouTube, and simulcast over on gunchannels.com, where we watch the comments from everyone coming in live. And it was actually one of the reasons that the show was started, was for being the interactive portion of it, the live audience. We also appreciate everybody that watches later. We also appreciate all the feedback and everyone that subbed to all the channels. All the chat hosts and content creators put in a lot of work, so make sure you check them out and help support them, and check out gunchannels.com. It is a wonderful Friday, September the 7th, or 8th, my bad. We have hosts coming in from Canada, Bob.
Hey, glad to be here.
And coming in from an undisclosed location on the road again, Mr. G. Webbs.
Right on. I'm on the Arkansas-Missouri border.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was going to say, usually we start the show with what happened overnight or in the early hours of the morning. So, guys got anything?
No, just driving for me. That's yesterday, so it kind of took me out of the game for a day. But haven't been listening too much to the radio. I was in Yankees chat yesterday. Had some interesting conversations about whatever's coming up in the news and those guys' takes on it. But that's pretty much my only insight to what's been happening recently.
I got nothing up here.
Yeah, the news has kind of been a bit repetitive. So I guess with that, then we could just jump into the show if you guys are good with it.
Sure.
Roll.
Cool. Today on the show, we have gun tech. We have our gun biz portion, alt gun topics, and of course, the gun of the day, gun movie. So let's kick it off here with gun tech. And we have peep sights versus non-magnified optics. Mostly everybody knows I'm an iron sight guy myself, a little old school with it, but
yeah, I think we pretty much all are. I really like peep sights. I hadn't used them really
When we
much.
talk about peep sights, though, is that separate from iron sights? Because to me, that means a circle with a front post, maybe some wings on the front post, versus, just like a dot in a cup or whatever, 2 dots or 3 dots, whatever. Got
Yeah,
dust.
That's the way I was seeing it.
So I think a peep sight versus red dot. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, I guess. But peep sights, I guess they're kind of fast acquisition. But I thought they're fast. I thought they're more for like long range.
the peep sights, yeah.
It's like a slow long range shot. My understanding is that by the way our vision works, like a pinhole camera, even if you've got poor vision, like people that wear glasses or whatever, or just a regular person, you can't distinguish things super far away. But by just like a pinhole camera, it takes the light and flips it through that little hole, and in effect does like a mechanical magnification, so to speak. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, or all the science behind it, but I think that's the gist of it. Where in that kind of, for me at least, I like to have a hat on with a visor, and it takes me a second to get that focus, but that works. I mean, you can definitely see a target clearly downrange that just looking at it with your regular eyes, you don't see it. But that to me seems like it takes time, where a red dot is all about keeping both eyes open and having like a bunch of cans downrange, or, some moving target, and having the ability to just pull the trigger as your red dot swipes over the target. Seems much more quicker type of shooting.
Yeah, but I don't think we were specifying whether, at what distance they were good at. I think we were just talking in general. And in general, I just don't like red dots. They tend to, I don't know, the dot's too big. Whereas with peeps, for whatever reason, you can, even if it's a small target, you can pick it up really easy. So if we're just talking in general, I say peep sights. If you're talking specifically close range, then
but what you're saying is the but you got that front sight post covering a heck of a lot of target out there, and you're going to complain about the red dot, even on an aim point where it's 3 MOA or whatever, compared to the little tiny EOTech one. Red buzz around it, but you can see the legs or the what's underneath. Where with a post, that's always the frustration, is you gotta assume or have seen a second ago what was underneath of that post, because you physically have that thing blocking you.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I still, my vote's for peep sights just because I'm old and I like them better.
I'm
I
actually
ain't voting for it. I like them either. They cost too much. They're fragile and they're huge. There's even the smallest ones, the Doctors or something, which are fairly rugged and tiny, are huge compared to peeps, which are still fragile and huge compared to iron. Solid. The mechanical are much more solid. There's nothing really that breaks up the metal or the bend, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm kind of going to go with the same argument, but on a different way, and kind of say that if someone were to just practice with red dots, only red dots, and keep them, specifically on that every rifle or whatever, it's kind of handicapping themselves too. If there were to ever be if shit hits the fan or whatever, or something like that, I mean, and they have to pick up a rifle that isn't theirs, or a rifle that they haven't practiced with, or something like that, I don't know. I'm not going to say that they won't know what to do.
Or a lot of people like to accessorize their red dot with a flip down iron because it looks cool and it balances out the profile of the gun or whatever, and that gives them something new to buy and shop for and all that. But again, if you're right, if you're just constantly work with your red dot, never turn it off because you don't need to, and always use it because it's easier to use than anything else. Yeah, whenever the time comes where the battery runs out or breaks or whatever, you have to flip up those irons, then
yeah, if you don't know how to use the irons, you're kind of hooped.
Let's see what we're getting over here on the comments. Hypo Drake is saying Aim Point Pro would solve that for you.
How many people, speaking of that, do we watching now? So I know we just changed our time slot to the noon time, so I always like to say thanks to the people who followed us over, and welcome to the people that are discovering the show at the.
You're breaking up pretty bad over there, G.
Oh, I'm breaking up? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
That'll help. I was just saying thanks to the people that followed us over from the old time slot, and to everybody who might be discovering the show at the new noontime Eastern time slot. I was wondering how many people are watching right
now. We have about 14. I was laughing because Pants says, damn, usually Bob is the drunk robot. But yeah, we got about 14 people.
Did it get better when I turned off the camera?
Yeah, way better, yeah. What else we got out here? Pink is saying red dots are nice when the eyes go bad.
Well, that's a real good point.
Yeah.
And obviously they're popular because they're effective, but we're comparing the two, but that's a good point. The peeps might not be an option for some people at some point.
Yeah, that is true, because I have had a couple old timers that I've gone out shooting with the father-in-law before, and they have problems picking up that front sight. So that is true. William over on the YouTube side was saying he prefers peeps on his rifle. Yeah, like I said, man, the only reason that I do is just because that's just about every rifle is going to have them on there. So, and there is a time where the batteries can go dead, where you don't want them to go dead, or you might need them. So, I'm always preparing for the worst, I guess.
I'd suggest that we throw out there sometime the comparison or the choice between peeps and irons, because I think that's an interesting one too. Because
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I've actually, I really liked irons until I shot peeps, and then I started liking peep sights. So
Well, I mean, besides like you were talking about the science of it before and what the peeps were actually meant for, but I feel like if you train for one, they could be somewhat interchangeable or practice with one.
but what I also like about peeps is you've got much more control. So you once you figure out your own gun, you know you've got a top and bottom reference instead of just a left and right. It's a little easier for people when you got that circle there, and it's a little better for judging distance and stuff. So they're definitely like more useful, or got more potential than just a set of irons.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Especially if you're talking about like set of like notch sights or something like that, I guess.
yeah, the lever action buckhorns.
Yeah, but a lever action with that little brass bead on top, you can knock the wings off a fly, right?
Funny, but you know, you can get amazingly good quick shots with those sights, though. That's really what they're designed for, is that being able to throw it up your shoulder and catch a buck just as it's ducking into the bush.
Yeah, red dots are just an electronic version of the brass dot on top of your post. Well, I think we save people a lot of money.
I would think so.
Solve that one.
Let's go outside, smash your red dots, and go buy a set of peeps.
There you go. You'll be safe when the zombie apocalypse comes.
Cool. Yeah. So we solved that one. So usually during the second or the between the first and second segment, excuse me, we like to take a break and acknowledge somebody from gun channels. Lately, we've been doing people that represent the 2A community out there on social media. So I don't know if you guys got anybody off the top of your heads that you want to acknowledge today.
Now, usually when I use my computer as a cheat sheet, I don't have anybody off the top of my head today. I'm on the phone.
Let's see.
We haven't done Edge in a while. Let's do Edge. I just got done visiting Edge down in San Antonio, and Bob visited with him too. So we both stood in Edge's garage. Edge is, like I say, Jimmy said, we try to feature one of the members at Gun Channels every day. It's a community we built, right? It's completely run by its members. So when we built it, it was in response to YouTube's trying to change the YouTube comment thing into a Facebook-like Google Plus thing that they were kind of really pushing. They weren't even giving you much of an option. And a lot of us didn't like that. We were having a good time communicating via the social or the platform on YouTube and the comments, and they had removed things like the video responses, which are pretty cool. You could create a video on YouTube and then literally tag it to somebody else's video as a video response, and that gave it an extra functionality. It let it show up on that original video if the person, I think the person had to allow it, but that allowed you to have literally a conversation going that people didn't have to read the comments. They could watch, and you could, you know, use visual aids and all the rest. It was really neat. And they removed all that for whatever reasons, and then they tried to push people over to Google Plus, which was annoying because they're trying to make us do it, but also Google Plus was just horrible. It's like the worst layout. It's impossible to figure out. I think universally people do not like it for the most part. So we built Gun Channels in response to that, but we built it for content creators, people that were creating stuff on the YouTube or, I don't know, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I'm hoping to get podcasters and bloggers as well. We want to have all those forms of media. You know, there's authors and people that write for magazines and stuff. So, you know, a way to create a community where we could chat and collaborate and share resources, right? If somebody's really good at doing animations or video editing or something, and or, you know, putting stuff on iTunes or helping people with marketing or branding and stuff like that, like let people who have strengths help the people out who are, you know, still learning or, you know, trying to master something. And in the process create a place where people can post their stuff and have these conversations and stuff. And then all the people that enjoy seeing real, what do you want to call it, grassroots, like real people making real content, a place for those people to have it all in one place. So that was sort of the goal, and a bunch of people followed us over from YouTube when it was first created. Edge was one of those. He's been active as far as creating videos on YouTube and trying to create his, his channel over there and his style, and does the same thing over on gun channels, including a weekly show on Fridays, which he's been doing. I think Matt might be the only one who's done it more consistently long term. So yeah, Edge is definitely one of the people we built it for. He helps me immensely. He's part of the Gun Websites team, and yeah, he's a tech guy, so he has a lot of knowledge there. He's interested in guns for sure, and yeah, can't say enough good stuff. Like I said, Bob's been there too, so he probably has one good thing to say about Edge. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Edge is just a hell of a nice guy. He really is. He's got a great sense of humor, and like you said, his channel is pretty good. He's got some interesting stuff on it. Not just guns. He's also, he takes his kids out shooting and stuff. So that's always fun. And except for his dog, he's got a grumpy dog that keeps trying to do things to my dog doesn't like. But other than that, yeah, I had a great time at Edges. I would have stayed there longer, except that it was hot as hell and that damn city was driving me nuts. But he's a hell of a nice guy. He's actually, I think he's one of the first people I was ever on a web chat with. So yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah,
I didn't
realize
Edge brought Bob into the mix, so maybe Edge isn't all.
Yeah, it's actually Edge's fault.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say Edge is a good dude. I've had a couple conversations with him, haven't had the pleasure of meeting him or being in his garage or anything like that. I did try to go into a Denny's and tell him Edge sent me though for the discount, and I got kicked out.
They were like, "Did you do that to the bathroom?"
It's Edge, that guy, get out.
Yeah, something about not paying or something. I don't know, but yeah. But yeah, Edge is a good dude though.
Yeah, he is. That's a good one for today.
Well, if my audio is working, let's throw out there that again, we're creating this show, and it's a work in progress. And part of it is, like Jimmy said at the beginning of the show, the collaboration with the audience. So if you'd like to be part of the show, like to contribute to it, consider emailing us some people who you'd like to nominate as our featured member of the day. I know we've gotten some flack in the past because it seemed to go back to some of these people. It's just, there's obviously lots of new people. We have like 5,000 members on gun channels. They're just not all active. So what are you going to say? Here's a username. We've tried that a couple of times, but it's almost, not that great of a thing because we have nothing to say about the person. We just don't know them yet. So if you've got people you'd like to recommend, if you've got like a theme or something, feel free to email it to us. It's dailygunshow@gmail.com. And even if you'd like to schedule time to jump in and we could record a bunch of your impressions of whatever the group of people you pick, or any level of participation, we're interested in pursuing it. So let us know.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so where are we at now anyway? That was Edge.
That would bring us to Gun Biz.
Gun Biz. Sunday, open or closed? Sunday, Monday, closed. Okay.
What are we were talking about something one day, and I've got real problems with gun shops that close on Saturday. Well, I don't know of any shop that closes on Saturday and Sunday, but if shops close on Sunday, a lot of them will close on Sunday and Monday. I don't care about the Monday so much. I can totally understand that. I've worked in a shop where with a small staff, being closed on a Monday allows everybody to have this consistent day off, and then that means only one day that they have to schedule, so it makes it a little easier for a smaller shop schedule, but or scheduling. But I think it's just a missed opportunity. So I think that being closed on Sunday, you're shutting yourself off to so many people who don't work on Sunday that's their only opportunity to go out shopping. And I think it's equivalent to being a lot of these shops close at 5 p.m. I cannot fathom that. I don't know why they don't stay open until 7. It seems like if you're open when people are available, that's how a business works. To be open while they're stuck at work and make them run over on their lunch hour and then it's crowded because everybody's rushing over on their lunch hour, or having to leave work earlier, depending on them having a time off or something. I think that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I've actually run into that before, where I'm rushing to get there at right before 5 o'clock. You know, like at the end of the day. Yeah, not cool.
And then it ends up being the same kind of thing as like the lunch hour. Like a bunch of people run over there at 5, and everybody's in a big rush, and the store gets all stressed because they're trying to close, and now they got everybody showing up. Just seems like a recipe for a disaster, and they could have just stayed open 2 more hours, add one person to the schedule or something.
Yeah, seriously. But I've run into that problem, and another problem that I've run into too is that there's some gun stores that say guns and gun store, and they have an open and close sign, but it's never like every time you go past it, 10 o'clock in the morning they're closed, 6 o'clock at night they're closed. You know, like that. I don't know. I've had that problem a lot.
Yeah, that's probably the type of store though that, you know, it's one guy who's kind of running it as a hobby, so he's open when he feels it, you know, which sucks. But I mean, if it's his business and that's the way he wants to run it, there's not much you can do about it.
Oh no, that I can understand completely. It's when they set themselves up with the staff and hours and all that, and then decide to close on a Sunday. That's where I just can't fathom. I'd say you're really trying to be a storefront and all that, and you're really doing it as a effort. Then pick another day, pick Monday or something, or Tuesday, when nobody cares if you're off.
Monday, Tuesday.
It's cool. I mean, I know it's a dick move to make employees work on Sunday, but you know, again, you're in the business of being in business. I personally, as an employee, always liked having a weekday off because of the same situation. There's too many things that close on the weekends, and if you've got that 9 to 5 schedule, you get to, you know, deal with all that. So if you have a set Tuesday off, you can go fishing or camping or whatever it is you might be doing recreationally. You almost always have the place to yourself. If you're going to a business or something, you know, just less crowds on the. So I think it's not that big a deal to have work on the weekends and have a weekday off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, another one that I've run into too, where they're you know, regular staff or whatever, and they do the trade-ins, and they'll do it Monday through Friday, but on Saturday and Sunday they don't do trade-ins. And so, you know, the whole week I'm busy except Saturday and Sunday, and then those are the days that they don't want to do it, like that kind of thing. I don't know. Well, I've never run into one that's closed on the weekend.
I can see that because maybe the owner thinks that the staff doesn't have the knowledge or the whatever to value things, so. Or they want the manager or somebody who's there to make the decisions or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But at least they're open. So if you just needed ammo or, you know, mag or something, you've got a place to do it.
Yeah, that is true. I've been lucky enough to where everyone that I've been to so far is open on the weekends. That's usually when I go.
Now, is there anybody out there chatting? Because I know normally, well, last time we brought this up, the reason I stuck it in here is because it's semi-controversial. There's tons of people that have issues with anybody doing anything on Sunday for either religious or whatever reasons. And, you know, that's all good. But again, you're in business or else you're, you know, living a life, you know, something else. But I just don't see so many. I mean, there's just so many of them that close on Sunday. So many other businesses too. It's not just gun shops.
Was it William Hendricks out there is in YouTube saying that being from Alabama, many places are closed Sundays and closed at 5 or 6. And in Illinois, most are open 7 days a week until 8 or 9. That's another thing. It could be state law too. In some places that you can't be open on Sundays.
What's the state to tell you when you can be open? That's crazy.
What?
Well, I know that it's a thing, but I'm just saying I couldn't deal with that. I would want to be open on Sunday just to spite the stupid law, just because it's I like being told when I can be open.
Well, wait, that's like the kind of deal that some places do with like alcohol and stuff like that. Like if it's a dry county or something like that, right?
Yep. And well, I guess who is it? Ever
specifically for firearms? I thought you meant like no business can be open on Sunday. If you mean specifically for firearms, then that I've never heard of that.
Firearms and liquor, I guess, in Texas. No liquor or guns on the Lord's Day.
What? I've never heard of such a thing. Tell somebody's got to be here from Texas. Is that a thing? You can't buy guns on Sunday in Texas?
But Everace says. Everace? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I never noticed that when I was in Texas, but I'm not sure if I was even there Sunday. I'm sure I would notice that there wasn't beer for sale. But oh, that's liquor though, not beer. You can still get beer because it's in the service stations. But yeah, maybe liquor stores are closed. I could see that. Used to be like that here.
They had name brand beer at the dollar stores in San Antonio. Beer and refrigerators at the dollar store. So $1 for a can of beer. Is that a cheap price? Seems cheap to me for those big tall cans of beer.
Oh yeah, for the big ones, yeah.
Tony out there is saying on the Gun Channel side, most of his locals are closed on Sundays. Moon says his range is closed Mondays for classes sometimes or competition. Let's see what else. King said it's hard to figure out what alley my local is going to be parked in.
Where they prohibit sales on Sunday, do like the criminals have to not like, oh, I can't sell you those drugs today. It's Sunday.
Yeah, it's the Sabbath today. No crack on Sundays.
Yeah, no crack on Sunday. Only weed.
Yeah. Hans is saying there's no place right up the road for me with no storefront. It's behind an industrial building, and they have a big hand painted outside on the front, never open.
Interesting. Actually, I don't know if FFLs can do that. I think one of the requirements to have your license is to have a storefront with business hours. Even if it's in your home, you have to have some sort of like posted business hours. You know, you're available on Tuesdays from 4 to 6. It can be that short, but I think that's one of the requirements. You can't just be not a business.
Yeah.
You'd think, anyway.
But I do know FFLs that do gun shows. The ones I'm thinking of do gun shows, so they have storefronts for whatever reasons, but they don't have any signage or, like you say, they'll put in an industrial area with just the 10 on the door or something, 410 or whatever, and you wouldn't know it from the paint store next door or the contractor's warehouse next door either. It's just another blank door, and it qualifies. It lets them do their thing, but then that way, technically they have hours, but they don't invite people there and they don't publicize them. So
yeah, so unless you're in the know.
That's what frustrates me about those places, because I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you guys have noticed, but going to those little hole in the wall places, that's where you might find like a diamond. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Tell me about it. I got some bayonets that were super valuable from that guy, the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And you can't get in the door unless, he knows you, and you basically call ahead of time and say, hey, I'm going to show up. Can you let me in, kind of thing? Well, I think we solved it. So you got to be open on Sunday if you want to be in business.
Yeah.
And if your state law prevents it, then start a grassroots campaign. Sunday.
Or close if that's what you want to do. Your business.
Isn't it Sunday Gun Day? So that's like almost like a law right there.
It should be. God, guns, and guts, right? Isn't that the saying?
I don't know. I've never heard anybody say that, but okay.
It should be if it ain't.
That's a Canadian t-shirt.
So.
Hashtag God, guns, and guts, eh?
Yeah, I'm going to make me a t-shirt.
All right. Well, I guess from that, we could, from the gun shops being closed on Sundays, we could segue into the alternate gun topics. I guess kind of what we were talking about a little bit off air about visiting different gun shops.
Yeah, so I was just telling the guys we were looking for an alternative gun topic, and I've been driving the back roads from Texarkana towards where I'm going, and it's Arkansas. So there's not anything straight except for like this light pole. I don't think there's anything straight in Arkansas. Everything's crooked and curvy and windy. So there is no highway. The one highway is west and it curves around, but I'm on these little tiny roads that go 55 and have stop lights and stuff every once in a while, or stop signs. But what I'm noticing is a lack of gun shops because I got my eyes peeled. I'm thinking this is what I'm doing, right? This is the reason I drove out here so I could find these little awesome places like that Picker Show, except I'm not going to rape little old women for their, their kids' inheritances and stuff. So I'm keeping my eye out as I'm driving past like little industrial places or little, what do you call those? Like those little, those little strip centers that'll happen. I'm looking at storefronts like on, like houses along the highway will become stores. I'm looking all over the place. There's tons of chicken feed here. It's a big chicken area, and crop dusting, and I haven't even seen taxidermy, which is kind of interesting too. But and with the amount of water that's around here, I mean, it's not Minnesota or nothing, but there's rivers all over the place, and you can feel the humidity. It's like walking through soup. And no tackle shops. So I don't know what it is. If these people just don't have time because they're working too hard, or what. But anyway, I figured it would be something we could talk about, that with the lack of even little storefronts, and there's definitely no Gander Mountains or nothing. There's like maybe a Walmart. I passed one Walmart. I mean, it's that rural of an area. And with the lack of little gun shops, what happens when they start pulling this stuff like Obama did, where he said, okay, you can't be an FFL unless you sell X amount of guns per year, because we don't want just everybody getting an FFL just so that they can get access to wholesale guns. And who knows what you're doing on the side. We assume you're a criminal, so we don't want home FFLs. And then on the same, on his other hand, the other side of his face, he says vaguely, if you sell more than one gun in a given year, then how do we know you're not in the business of selling guns? So you need to be an FFL in order to sell some indiscriminate amount of guns, and it could be as low as 2. So, that seems like, with a little bit of policy decision from an asshole representative, we might end up with the lack of ability to have these home FFLs. And then what does that leave us? These people out here are, I don't know how far it is to Little Rock or something, like 2 or 3 hours to Little Rock. And I've passed very few gun shops since then. These people, if they can't go to a home FFL, to have at least the stuff shipped to the home FFL and then distributed out. Are we saying that these people have to, everybody who lives in the flyover states has to then drive to the big city to be able to find a shop? And if you've destroyed the home FFLs, then they're not going to be able to succeed and thrive and turn into the small businesses and the bigger shops. So what does that leave? The big boxes? I still say and I insist that all it takes is, and this is one thing that Yankee said a while back that I can support 100%. If we destroy the small businesses, and just by lack of attention to them and the over-regulation of them, make it unable to do business as a small business, and then make it literally illegal to do business out of your home as like a side thing, then all it takes is 2 acts of legislation. No gun sales online. Boom. There's all the online gun shops. Most of them I know are just going to go do something else. They're going to sell mattresses or marshmallow candy or whatever it is. They're just sellers. And then they'll just say something about, blah, 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 number of sales at big box stores. And what dedication do big box stores have to us? As soon as it's unprofitable and unmanageable to deal with firearms, they're going to turn that department into a bigger fishing department or the new mat department. They don't care. So I really think it's frustrating to go through. I've been driving 3 hours, and it's mostly farms. I don't know what they're growing out here. Something short, soybeans probably, but it's just farmland, little town, no gun shop. Little town, no gun shop.
Yeah, that was the thing I noticed too when I was driving on the, through the back roads, and that was, it was the exception to the rule to find a gun shop in those smaller towns. Most of the time it was nothing. I mean, there was, like a little restaurant, little coffee shop restaurant, little grocery store, and that was it. Maybe a dollar store. That was the one thing that seemed to be consistent, was a Dollar Tree or a dollar store.
That's true. I noticed, Edge took me to one in San Antonio. It's actually a little bit outside San Antonio, I think. That was like hardware store up front, and then chainsaw store specifically. Like I think it was, what's the orange one? Still. And so it was mostly hardware store, like your general little mini version of an Ace, much smaller, but packed in like a real cool hardware store. And then a big section for the chainsaws and whatever other stuff that brand makes. But then is equal size to the hardware store. I got video of it. We'll show it. Gun shop. Just a cool little gun shop all smacked in, crammed into this corner of a hardware store. So it's possible that that's happening. I mean, gun shop or hardware stores have always had guns historically, right? So maybe they don't say guns on the sign up front because everybody here knows that you go to Mary's Hardware for your guns, I guess.
That could
But that's
be.
a lot of questions. We're just making up for the fact that there ain't enough gun shops.
Yeah. Exactly true.
Well, I've even noticed there was this one that just I want to say a month ago, but I think it was a little bit more. But it was about a month ago. The one just closed down over here on Broadway and Horn in Mesa. And he was like a little shop. He wasn't a home FFL, but he was like a little mom and pops kind of thing, like you're talking about. And he's closing down. So I mean, there's places out here that are even out in Arizona where it's supposed to be, you know, open and everybody's cool with guns or whatever. They still have little gun shops closing. So, I mean, like you were saying, once they all close, what's going to be left? A big box store that can be bought out easily by some kind of a anti-gun lobby or something like that?
Or just protest.
Not political pressure, just community. Like Bloomberg gets enough people together to go boycott Gander Mountain, right? And then all of a sudden the people buying the yoga mats and the hiking boots or whatever ain't going to Gander Mountain. And they say, oh, well, that's more profit than the 10% to guns. And those guys ain't buying as many boots and camouflage pants. So, you know, goodbye gun section, like say hello, you know, paddle boarding section or something.
That's exactly true. Yeah.
When you bring that up though about the store closing, I've been to a lot of gun shops, right? A lot of them. And I went to one of the coolest, I'm going to definitely say easily top 10. I almost would have to think about it to say one of the top 5 coolest gun shops I've been to in San Antonio when it was driving me around. It's called Texas Guns, and you can look it up online. I'm sure there's pictures of it. It's a little shop and a range. I think it was like a house on the side of the road, and it grew. It's kind of hard to tell when things get bigger once they've grown like that. But from the inside layout, I'm thinking it was like a little place that got bigger and bigger. Pretty sure the guy that was there talking to us was the owner since the beginning, kind of thing. The amount of inventory is insane. Just really neat stuff, and the kind of shop that kind of experience you only get when a shop's been there for decades and decades and gone through all the things. You know, it has the little pieces, remnants of all those different trends and things whenever along the way. So just a really cool gun shop, and didn't take long. Like I say, it's been really interesting to really fun to go into these gun shops on the tour now. And unfortunately, almost every shop has been empty. So as soon as we come in, it's a different experience for me. I'm used to coming in and having to wait, you know, can I help you? No, I'm just looking, thanks. And then when they're free, I'll say, hey, can I take a couple of pictures for the internet? And unfortunately, it's been more like I walk in and I'm the only person in their store. You know, they're getting up from playing solitaire. And, you know, now I feel bad to just say, oh, no, I don't need anything. So, yeah, we were having this conversation with them, and, you know, he said, oh, I'm not gonna be here very much longer. And I asked, hopefully somebody will buy the shop. And he goes, yeah, I hope so. But the way he sounded, it didn't sound optimistic. So, yeah, ultimately frustrating that we're seeing, I think, treasures disappearing when these guys get older. It doesn't mean that, you know, that it's not fatal or nothing. It's just that sometimes you just get retired. You just don't want to go through it anymore. And all these little nips that Obama threw in there and that, you know, just happen after the residual buildup and infringements. Man, that's got to be tough burden to have to carry when you're older.
Extra laws that they'll put in that just makes for more paperwork and more work for the FFLs.
And after years, like, can you imagine being an old guy after years of using a uppercase, lowercase, sometimes even 3-letter abbreviation, to have the ATF come in and say, if you don't have the correct 2-state abbreviation on every one of your 4473s, you're potentially in violation of your duty to have this license. You know, it's the stuff that like seems so petty. I can understand that on a massive level. If you are a massively infringing state government and your jackboots cost a lot of money, so you want to have the most efficient way to keep track of your population, then yeah, you want to make sure everybody uses the same 2-state abbreviation on their stupid state for everything. But you know, this is a ridiculous infringement to put on, since fairly rare do 4473s even get traced. And those that do even more rarely come up with any kind of usable lead in crime or investigations or whatever. At least there's no justification as far as I've been able to tell. I would assume if it was useful, if the 4473 was so awesome that it was necessary, that they'd be urging us to reinforce it. Instead, it's like a massive waste of time and effort that they try to ignore as much as possible. And again, when they throw these kind of stupid infringements on or requirements on a licensee. Can you imagine being an old guy and then having your audit, you know, whether it be a 5-year audit or something else, and now you got to close down shop and not make any money. You know, I can't imagine how long that guy's audit takes. Even if they brought in a team of agents, it would take forever. He's just got tons of inventory and stuff. And just to have to deal with like, oh, this guy wrote a lowercase z instead of a uppercase z because he's from Arizona. It's like that kind of stuff has got to be a pain in the ass for these guys.
Yeah, you talk about older guys. I would probably throw my hands up at that stuff if you had to go through all those different regulations just to keep your doors open.
Yeah, and I doubt that if somebody's been in business for decades has any kind of working relationship with a single agent. The ATF, I understand, you know, just as like any political thing, they pass the trash. As soon as somebody sucks and they're lazy, they get promoted and moved on to somebody else's problem. And the few that are good get all frustrated and leave government service because of the waste and the abuse. So yeah, I can imagine that he's going to have different agents almost every time they come in. You know, where back in the day, I'm sure I've heard stories of SOTs and stuff who could call in and talk to their guy. Like, hey, I need so-and-so. And the guy was their guy. So he knew their procedure, you know, as things got done, you know, through government regulation and the business person, where now it's just a bureaucracy. And that's, again, another frustration. You got all the, and then you get, well, I can't even talk, we was trying to talk about customers coming in and wanting the one gun. You got 18 versions of a gun and they want the other one that they saw online.
Well, you know, it makes you wonder if they're not going for the, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. You know, there's the old saying, right? The camel or the straw that broke the camel's back. So for a lot of these older shops, you know, it's just like that one more infringement, that one more thing that they have to do every time they go to sell a gun is going to be enough to make them throw up their hands. And is that maybe what's, you know, in the back of some people's minds?
Oh, I don't think, yeah, I think that's definitely the case. They know that it can't hurt their side at all to just make it difficult to deal with.
Yep. Although, you know, if places like Australia are any example, like they actually have more firearms now than they had before they had that gun ban, because people just went out, okay, well, they took away all my cool guns. I'm going to see what kind of new cool guns I can get. And I have to jump through all these hoops. I don't care. I'm going to get
Wasn't it more than a gun ban? Didn't they confiscate people's firearms?
It was a buyback, I think.
Well, whatever. They said you can't have these and turn in the ones you have. So I'm just saying it makes it almost sound like, oh, what a hardship that they have a ban, but they took them.
Yes, I mean they did. They took them. They paid them, you know, what they said was valuable for them. Of course, it really wasn't. But like I say, I mean the people who owned guns, who wanted to own guns, they continued to purchase them and to get them, even if they had to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. It just shows that, you know, if people want to get their guns, you know, and there's any way at all possible for them to do it legally, they will. So, you know, we're a resilient species. No matter what the government does, we will find a way to defend ourselves. Especially Australia, where everything's trying to kill you.
Speaking of trying to kill you, have we killed that topic?
Yeah, I think he's dead.
I think we have beat it to death.
Have we got any feedback? It's frustrating. I should start setting up the computer marks, then I can look at the comments. Are we getting any comments on this one?
Let's see. Angry saying, "Oh, for Australia, it was a mandatory buyback." Ghost is saying he's in Arkansas. Tony was saying this because there's little money there's largely because there's no money in those little towns. I guess when we're saying you're driving through those little towns and they're not, you know, no businesses or whatever.
Oh, I hear that. But I figured, like, when I was spending time in Wyoming, it was some guy who just basically wanted to get guns cheaper, probably, more than likely, or just was, you know, friends with people who were frustrated. We just set up a shop in his house. And, you know, as part of setting up the shop, you have to put a sign out front or something. So even if it's not huge hours, at least you'd see a gun sign once in a while, like so and so sporting goods or such and such guns.
Right.
I just lack of anything like that. I mean, I didn't expect to see big, thriving, awesome gun shops out here, but just the complete lack of any signage.
Over on the YouTube side, Everest is saying, I went to a shop where they told me to write the full state name. When I asked, they shook their head and said their ATF agent wants it that way and gives them hell if not. And Dan said that happened to him too when he abbreviated the state.
Yeah, and that'll happen inconsistently all around. So they'll have that agent come in for an audit and say, oh, this should be this way. And since there's no consistency, it's all between agents. Then 2 months later, 2 years later, however often they get their audit, the next guy comes in and says, what are you writing these things out for? You can do it however you want. The next guy comes along and says, are you kidding me? These have to be in the 2-letter postal abbreviation.
Exactly.
That would get, very annoying and frustrating.
And now, average customer comes in, I want to buy a gun for the first time. I think this would be neat. And then you're like, can you please redo this entire form because you didn't use the 2-letter postal abbreviation? Oh, you forgot to put your height, weight in here or something. Remove 4473s.
Yeah. Hashtag remove 4473s.
Well, I
mean, bugle sound like a. Is it mail call? Is there a fort in here? There must be, because I'm hearing it like on loudspeakers, like I hear at home when they do Reveille in the morning and stuff. Sorry. I don't know if you guys could hear it.
Were you parked outside a prison?
Do they do that to prisoners? I don't know. No, I'm on the border of Arkansas and Missouri.
Oh yeah, Tony was saying Missouri's right around the corner from me, I guess.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I could wing a rock. I'm in the Welcome Center. I'm trying to use their good internet here, so I'm pretty sure I could wing a rock into Missouri.
Oh.
Isn't that the Show Me State?
Yep. I don't know what Arkansas is. The chicken state, probably. Ain't nothing but chickens here. I wonder what percentage of chickens come out of here. I know there's a lot of them all throughout the South, but every time I've only been here 4 or 5 times, but definitely a lot of chickens.
Yeah, we was talking to somebody in the lobby chat last night about chickens, about raising chickens.
Probably
saying Arkansas is the natural state.
The natural state. Oh, a lot of nudist camps, huh?
I doubt you were talking about raising chickens like they do here. I forget how many, like 30,000 in a building or something.
Yeah, no, we were talking about just little dozen chickens in a coop for prepping. So have you seen any of the nudist camps that must be around if it's the natural state?
No, number one, my mind doesn't jump to that when I hear natural state, because this is one of the more beautiful states. It goes from like really neat rock outcroppings where they rip the roads through, I'm guessing in the CCC days, and then you get to like where I'm at now where there's like oaks and elms and stuff. It's really neat. And there's like I said, I don't know if it's soybeans or something short out in these fields, and there's tons of trees. So it's not like boring Kansas where it's just fields. Anyway, it's pretty awesome state. I could see that. There's tons of rivers and stuff. I bet you it's awesome for fishing. So no, I didn't jump like weird perverted shit, and I've been looking for gun shops. I haven't seen anything that said nude shop.
Nude gun shop. Interesting.
That'd be weird. They can be closed on Sunday.
Yeah, that would get some customers.
Well, except it'd probably still be a bunch of old guys behind the counter, so
that would not get customers.
No.
All right, well, I guess with that, not seeing any more comments coming in about it. Let's see. Arkansas produces 80% of American chicken. Tyson.
Oh, seriously? No wonder there's so many of them. Okay. Or you see them so often. I figured it was a high percentage. I didn't realize it was that high. That's crazy. I bet you it's just the weather or something. It's not as humid as it is down south of here, and that's got to be better for the critters, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. A little drier air, especially chickens, because they can get mites and stuff in humidity.
Yeah. When you
Well, okay. That was a little odd. I guess Oro must have got pissed off at waiting to do something, so he probably unplugged the computer or the phone. He's lost both of you guys at the same time.
Oh, I figured I got kicked out because I was talking shit about chickens in Arkansas. They killed my internet.
No, he and Jimmy both just dropped.
Yeah, we got NSA pop.
Yeah. They were trying to figure out in the code books what chicken meant. It's some new code word. Quick, shut him down till we figure it out.
Cut them off. They're talking about something new. Hypo over on the YouTube side was saying it's the right of the people to keep and bear arms, not purchase and bear arms. I believe that language will be exploited in any way they can conceive of. I mean, they listen. The left has gotten pretty nitpicky before, but I don't know if they'll go that far. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But I don't see them going that far into it.
There's a puppy that looks like he's happy to be on the road.
Oh, yeah. There's a little bit of Arkansas for you. How cool is it that I can be driving around in the middle of Arkansas? Well, not really, the edge of Arkansas, but definitely not a big town, and have decent internet where I can broadcast like that. That's pretty neat. I can remember when I thought it was cool that we had cell phone service. This is neat. Yeah. I can't wait. Next. What's going to be next? 3D or
well,
like hologram of what we're looking at?
Well, you know, what Google's looking at is actually putting high altitude drones that will transmit free wireless to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's going to end up happening for sure. I don't know about, well, something, one of the, like you're talking about the solar panels on the wings and they come down every months, or they bring them down when they need to upgrade something only.
Right. Yeah, and other than that, they can pretty much stay up in the air.
Yeah, those are kind of cool. Of course, they can also put cameras and track everything.
Well, they're already doing that.
Google's cool. And I talk about sometimes how cool I like, how much I like these Hangouts and stuff for what they offer, but I'm going to make sure I diss them for their stupid Google Maps. As nice as Google Maps are sometimes, I am so sick of being routed to the back of a parking lot where you can't get in. Like, it'll take you through the housing development and kick you out in the back. It happens all the time. People say use Waze, and Waze is horrible. So there still needs to be some development in moving us all around better.
Yep.
Waze is horrible. Waze sucks.
I can't get it to work. Maybe it's just because I can't get it to work, but yeah, it seems stupid. And I don't like where it's like Gas Buddy. It depends on everybody doing it. So it's just like YouTube. Somebody can go, and then type in something stupid, and then everybody's reacting to that. So I don't like that part of it.
Yeah, and the whole, you know, like Google and their artificial intelligence thing is getting a little scary. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you say. It's a balancing. On the one hand, it's really cool to have this kind of interactivity and have the ability to, you know, be showing videos of, you know, from the middle of nowhere live. But on the other hand, it's, you know, their other technology that they're coming up with is kind of spooky.
All right, are we done with the Bob's Afraid of Technology segment?
I don't like technology. I like it, but I don't, you know?
No, I hear you. And that's the thing. We never, I don't know, it's a whole nother show. We'll talk about that in a sci-fi show someday.
Yeah, we'll have a sci-fi day. Daily Gun Show sci-fi.
Cool. Well, I guess then with that, we could move on to what do we got here? The gun of the day.
Yeah. What do you got in for the gun of the day today, Jimmy?
I have the H&K MP5.
Oh, that's a sweet little gun.
Yeah, actually one of the only gun, well, the only gun, I shouldn't say one of, the only fully automatic gun I've ever gotten a chance to shoot before.
I have never shot a fully automatic MP5. That'd be something to try, because it is just that little 9mm, so it's going to be like shooting a pop gun, you know.
Except it can deliver like 40 round, whatever, 20 rounds into a baseball. They're really controllable. That's why people like them, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to keep the whole magazine in the center.
Exactly. That's why they're still the preferred gun for most SWAT teams and stuff.
Was that stupid 9mm invented for that stupid Nazi pistol or for a submachine gun, a Nazi submachine gun?
No, it was invented for the pistol first.
Okay, it just happens to be effective for submachine guns, and it wasn't specifically okay.
Well, and they could have invented, like, it's I don't know why it became 9mm rather than maybe just because it was 30 caliber. But it could have just as easily been something else but because it was developed, and the Luger was developed at the same time, which was one of the first, pretty much, well, the Mauser broom handle first, and then the Luger, but it pretty much became one of the most popular cartridges because it was, first chambered in those first successful semi-automatic pistols.
Right. See why I hate 9mm? Because it took us from an H&K to Bob talking about Nazi guns. So
I think you mentioned Nazi gun first.
H&K 5, but now whenever you do a search for H&K MP5, you're going to get all those variants. So I personally like the the H&K MP5K custom. So the little tiny guy with a stock, but he's got nothing up front and a little vert grip.
Yep, this one right here. I don't know. You probably can't see my screen on the phone.
Yeah, I can. No,
okay.
Well, I don't know if that's the right stock. I think of them with the old, in the 80s is when that was like the coolest little ultimate gun. They had the collapsible, I thought.
Yeah, it was collapsible that kind of slid forward over the receiver, didn't it?
That standard HK one, yeah. So, but that's the thing. That was like the first of the pistol caliber carbines. I mean, it was still a rifle, but basically the same gun you just showed there, just with the regular HK stock, because they didn't have side folding stocks that were worth the shit back then. There was no H&K accessories in that old days. But anyway, I thought that was the bee's knees, and I almost built one once, but never did because it's stupid 9mm, and everything costs too much on them. But anyway, I'm asking, of all the varieties, there's also the suppressed variety, which are pretty sweet, and then more. So is there any specific one that you have in mind, or just the group of them?
I would say just the group of them.
Well, then I'm picking the MP5K custom so that it can go into a briefcase and be wicked little tiny gun.
Yeah, well, I like the the short barrel, but with a silencer. I think that's the way to go. It's silent but deadly, just like a good fart.
It's ironic that we have to bring an elderly Canadian in to reach the 14-year-old demographic.
Hey, fart jokes are funny at any age.
Anyway, they're neat. There's clones of them, so you can get one inexpensive. You can get really cheap ones that, like when we were back in the day, we would build not H&Ks because those were almost unobtainable, even if they might still be unobtainable. I don't really pay attention, but you could build clones of them that were not that good. And then after a while, as they became more popular, it became more popular to build your own type of thing. I think the builds got better. And then now I think H&K either offers parts or parts have become available or something. So I know like Flippy has a fairly accurate one, right?
I think so.
He might have got rid of it. I'm trying to think if he got rid of it or not, but yeah, he had one.
There's some company in Turkey makes them too, eh? Makes clones of them that they're selling here.
The ISIS K5?
I don't know, but I saw it at SHOT Show.
What as far as the gun itself, though? It's got its stupid HK action thing going on, which mean, I think the gun's neat. I would never own one because I'm not interested in that. It's like having one of those weird engines for a car. It'd be neat to see it and to touch it and to shoot it or drive it or something, but
Well,
I'm not interested in that gun. It's just too complicated for me.
it's a delayed roller blowback or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a bunch of ball bearings that have to interact with everything. And I don't know how solid it is because I'm completely ignorant of it, but that's something that's just it's kind of appealing to me as like an interesting thing. But as far as like owning, operating, maintaining it, it seems like a dead end to me. I just don't have any interest in trying to maintain that as like my go-to guns or anything. They're too complicated.
Well,
You know, it's
they're
an option.
with maintenance though, they do tend to just last forever because it softens that recoil so much. Even though 9mm, there's not much recoil anyway, but because it's not just a straight blowback going bang bang bang, they will tend to, the actions will tend to stay together a lot longer, even if they do have a lot more parts.
Doing a detailed clean on this thing looks like a major pain.
So now, obviously, they're used a lot. But then again, they were used a lot when the option was Uzi or MAC-10 or Sten or something from World War II, right? So when they were the ultimate pinnacle of new tech, they dominated. And just like Glocks or something, they dominated all law enforcement and military high-end applications. Those trickled down to others, and then they became established. But my question is, I don't know enough people that operate with them or whatever, because they're olden days stuff. Were they actually good, rugged guns, or were they just the best at the time? You know what I mean? Like an AK might have been good or bad, but over time, it's proven itself. The HKs are still around, but is it because they were established, or is it because they're such a great machine that's so rugged and durable or something?
Well, I mean, it is overcomplicated German technology, so I would say it probably is rugged.
But on the other hand, SEALs can come up out of the water with them. So, I mean, they can't be weaklings. They got to be useful enough guns that SEALs and, all these elite teams use them and stuff. But then again, are they still using them? As soon as the M4s came around and little short, 223s, did they go to those because of an actual caliber? Or did they go to them because that thing was great at the time? It's not going to come up out of the water and work all the time as much as like an AR, which now aluminum and doesn't rust.
I'm pretty sure they're still using them. I mean, it's just because a suppressed MP5 is, like I say, not only quiet, but it's so accurate and it's so controllable. When you're, especially if you say for SWAT teams or something where you have to be really careful with collateral damage, you want that controllability, and you don't get it as much with other subguns.
And it's compact. And it's stupid little tiny magazines. You can carry like a dozen of them easily in the size of like what normal guns, 2 or 3 magazines.
Yep. Don't weigh much.
Going through doors and vehicles, in and out of vehicles. I'm sure they were useful there. I mean, or that was one of the reasons they were so appealing, is because they could handle all that.
Yeah, well, Hypo Drake says they still use it. He says he saw a new one at the NRA show. So yeah, like I say, they're still making them. They're still producing them. I mean, like I say, they're making clones of them. I mean, that's, once somebody starts copying your stuff, it's a pretty good sign that you're doing something right.
Ghost said they used them in the 90s when he was in the Marines. Well, in the Marines, he used them in the 90s. Loved it. And Angry is saying he thinks some people still use them, but short carbines are phasing them out, which I could see that. That might just be a price thing.
One type of magazine, so you don't have to switch out your pouches or the way that you run your pouches or anything like that, unless you're, job specific. But basically, one manual of arms to deal with, one set of everything. Interaction with the gun and everything is all consistent. Just how big it is for what you're doing. I could see that being way more appealing than jumping from a HK to a shotgun to a M16 to something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that might be, and I think cost. I don't know who said cost.
Well, I mean, all that stuff, if you add up all that stuff, I mean, that is a cost. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, just the cost of an HK. How much those? I doubt they did anything like Glock where they went, oh, here, you can just have these HKs as long as you give us your old Sten so we can sell them. I'm sure they're like, oh, you're buying them? How about $1 million a piece? they're HK.
Yeah, they're not gold and platinum plated. They just cost like it.
Yeah.
That was a really great gun of the day. I hadn't really thought of the MP5 recently, so yeah, interesting gun.
Best movie with an H&K MP5 in it,
Oh,
where it's the main gun.
where it's the main gun. Oh, Die Hard.
I was gonna say Die Hard probably.
Yeah, was that an M? Yeah, that was Nick.
I'm trying to think of other ones.
And then maybe they were G3s, but I think they were MP5s when they were in the main.
Oh, that were MP5s. Yeah.
So
Just-
movie of the day, then Die Hard.
Did we not have it the other day?
Yeah, we did have Jimmy put one in.
Yeah, I got one, but it was kind of just like a last minute whatever one.
Well, then just drop that one down to some other day. Yeah, we'll do Die Hard. We haven't
All
done
right,
that
cool.
one in a long time. If we have done it, I don't know. So what?
I think-
Die Hard is, I don't even know how old that is movie. It's in the 80s?
Late 80s.
Yeah, it was late 80s, early 90s, something 89, 88 maybe.
That means there's people who don't even know what it's like to not have a Die Hard movie.
Well, except they saw probably the sequels.
No, I just mean they never lived life without Die Hard movies. You know, they've
Oh,
always just,
Okay. Yeah.
and they've been making them still. So I mean, and that's one of those, like Star Wars or something. They're never gonna end. So do you guys even remember when it came out?
Oh yeah.
No.
I don't think I've seen it in the movie theater. So I must have been old enough where I was doing stuff and not going to movies. So I remember I just seen it on VHS.
I was still using diapers.
I think I've seen it in the movie theater. Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, I got to see it in the 90s, but yeah.
To this day, I still cringe when I think of him running across all that broken glass.
Oh
Barrel.
man,
It's like, oh, jeez.
that's definitely movie magic because that would have took you an hour and a half to walk across that hallway.
Oh, not if somebody was. But yeah, that would have been done. Oh, screw it. They can have the building.
Yeah.
But
My
as far-
ex-wife, whatever.
Yeah, I'm going home.
So there was buddy cop movies that were funny, I think, but were there a lot of like action comedy type things? Because it was, I mean, it wasn't a comedy, but it was like, you know, Bruce Willis was a humorous guy. So,
Lots of
There was-
quips, one-liners.
and you know, like the humorous angle. So was it one of the first ones like that, or am I crazy?
I think there were others before that, but it wasn't the whole. It didn't run through the whole movie. There would be, you know, maybe one or two funny lines in the whole show. Whereas, you know, Die Hard, he had something funny to say almost every scene he had. You know, or something that was humorous. So it was different in that way for sure.
And what he really did do action movies before then, did he?
Kind of. I mean, he did that one where he was like a mob member in the early 80s. I forgot what it was called. But not really like super shoot 'em up, blowing everything up action movies, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. Yeah, he hadn't really done a lot of that before then.
Well, I guess I'll give it 2 thumbs. It's obviously stuck in the culture, and it's a lot of people's #1 Christmas movie. So I think that's great considering it's basically a gun movie. So
Oh yeah, and there's people out there who watched it when they were a kid, and their grandkids are watching the sequels now. What are they on? Like 6 of them or 5 of them or something like that?
at least 5.
Yeah.
I've seen them, but you know, there's so much other stuff out there that they're not the best movies anymore. But they're certainly, like say, iconic. They're definitely one of the stable ones that's out there. You think they'll make more, or do you think those last couple suck so bad they quit making them? Whatever that one helicopter and they're in the tunnel. That one was kind of far fetched.
Yeah.
I think we might see one more because they'll just do one more kick at the can. But I think once Bruce Willis is gone, that we won't see another one because he made.
Matt's chat the other day, or I don't remember the last nerd chat I was in, but in one of Matt's nerd chats, they were talking about Bruce Willis. I think it's being kind of just like phoning it in lately. Like you'll see him in a movie. I can't remember the name of this one movie, but it was like it was Bruce Willis in it, and he was like the bad guy, and he showed up like 5 times, and you could tell he was acting, but he wasn't working hard at it. He didn't have enough lines to do anything, so he was just basically Bruce Willis, is like, you know, what do you call it, like the name on the thing to get people in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that said, he's a movie considered. I guess that's why we're talking about that new, how they ruined Death Wish. He was saying how it looked like he gave a shit about this movie in comparison. But don't you think when he gets all elderly or whatever, you know, before he kicks the bucket, they'll do some sort of like last, you know, they'll give the baton to some new kid or something? Or did they already try that?
Well, I think they had his son, right, in that movie where they went to Russia.
Yeah, it's just as I was saying that, I thought, oh crap, I think they already did that. But I could see him making like an old man version of Die Hard.
Yeah.
That old act from the first one or something.
Like he's got to get up out of his lazy boy and help or something like that.
Uh-huh.
We need your expertise, John.
Yeah. My what? Oh, somebody's got my diaper.
There's my hip.
Oh yeah, it'd be the first scene. He gets knocked down. Oh, my hip. Oh. You don't see him the rest of the movie. You just hear his voice on the phone.
Well, yeah, I'd definitely give 2 thumbs up. Die Hard. Anybody who hasn't seen it, that's a must see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make this unanimous. 2 thumbs.
So then, which is your favorite of them?
First and second one are very close, but I would always go with the first one.
I like number 2, I think. That's the airport one, right?
That was one when they were, in the city, yeah.
Boy. 1 and 2 are really close, but again, I think I'm gonna go with number 1, the first one. It was, I think, because it started the whole genre.
I just didn't like the bad guys in the first one. They were boring. And in the second one, they had way more guns and stuff, and there was more stuff going on. So I like the second one. The second one's where they take over the airport, right? That's not the third.
But it had like people riding snowmobiles stupidly and stuff. So
Yeah, I'll give you that one. They did have more action in the second one, but I'm sticking with the first. You can't beat the first.
So that means the first Die Hard is the best movie
ever.
What are people voting out there? They're probably voting for number 2.
I doubt that.
They're not even on YouTube. I'll reload that movie.
Nothing out here on the gun channels either as far as rating which one they want. But which one do you guys like better out there on the text chat? Of course, it's going to be number 1, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of watching YouTube and not seeing nothing coming in here, so I don't know whether it's dead or what. No, it can't be. We still got people watching.
Sean says 1's greater than 2. Angry says number 1. Pan says number 1.
Oh, so there's some kind of glitch. We're having some kind of issue.
Enrique says number 1.
I think it's number 1.
Sad to hear the difficulties, but we'll count B.
I think the first one's gonna has won it.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. It's number 1. All right. Where are we at here? What do we got?
I believe, that looks like that's all we got left.
Yeah. Well, what's going on tonight on Gun Channels? Anything?
What is today? Friday?
Today is Friday, so I think Clover Tag's going to be on tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, Clover was on yesterday. I got to jump in driving through, well, between Texarkana and Little Rock. I don't know if, I'm assuming that's not in the middle of nowhere as far as Arkansas is concerned, because I'm guessing those are 2 fairly big towns. But I had internet, I think pretty decent. It was like hills and stuff, but it was pretty decent internet. I was able to join in on the chat on the road. That was pretty cool. I'm going to try to do that more often. I figure as I go further east, there's going to be less and less games and internet, right?
Yeah, should be. You get more and more people in the area. There's going to be more cell towers.
And like less people that are willing to go, oh, I live in a low area, so I just won't use my cell phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of that, you know what's annoying? I've got one of them little dealies where you plug it into your device, like through the headsets, and then it broadcasts on radio so that you can play it on your car stereo instead of having to listen to earphones.
Yeah.
And it's not the one channel kind. It's got 4 or 5 channels it can choose between. But and there's no radio stations. Like there is no radio to listen to unless you like listening to like church radios or country. There's that. But
There's
nothing
some
else.
There's not even country, believe me.
Oh, I can tell you after driving through Texas and Arkansas so far that I definitely still do not like country music. And it's not good. They just do the same thing over and over. But I'm not saying rock songs don't do the same thing, but they don't ever talk about anything except for like their ex-wife, or, the whole stuff you hear about country. Like I don't think country has changed. But what bugs me is that my little radio thingy won't work because there's just like the radio waves are so dirty out here. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the population, or the what do you call it, like the slop or something from other frequencies or other kind of devices. But it's been so much static on those couple of channels that my device works on that I can't use it. I have to use earphones because there's nothing to listen to. So I have to listen to I'm trying to listen to podcasts and things. But so that's a little bit annoying. Out west, there was whole chunks of Texas and stuff where you just put your radio on scan and it just scans. Like it doesn't stop anywhere because there's nothing out there.
Yep. And all of a sudden you'll come to the top of a hill and the radio will blare and jump.
Yeah, you had it on scan and it'll be like really loud church station or country, pretty much.
Yeah, that was the fun part of going through there. But Texas wasn't that, it was a long ass drive through there, but it didn't bother me that much. I preferred the little back roads, so they're just so much more fun to drive on. Well, I think we got Clovertack tonight, and that's about it.
No, we got Edge of the Week on Fridays, and then is Heavy doing a show ever again?
I have no idea. I know that
I thought he said he had Friday.
He's getting a new place today, so I don't know if he's gonna do it, but he hasn't done it in a while, I don't think.
Well, if he's moving into a new place, he definitely won't be doing it.
Yeah, but he probably won't be doing it tonight though, for sure.
Movie sucks.
And then Clover does his show on. Oh, you already said Clover does his show. So we got Edge and Clover tonight, and then tomorrow will be Saturday. So Travis, I think he still does his Caliber Corner in the morning. You got Rick's, as I see it, at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. On Sundays, I think Yankee and Matt do their shows. I think Matt posts his over on Gun Channels. And then sometimes people post Yankees for him over on Gun Channels. And then I think 3 p.m. my time, Arizona time, or somewhere around there, Yoder, Texas will usually post the Come and Talk It, which is a syndicated radio show out of Texas that he'll post a link to their website where you can listen to it online. That's a pretty decent show. Then Monday, we'll be back here at 9, and you guys do an early watch before this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, my goal is to get to where my shit's together and I'm on a more of a routine. I'm kind of working towards a destination that's on a specific date here. So with the car trouble and stuff, I'm kind of rushing. But the goal would be to get on like I did with Clovertack the other day and be able to chat a bit in the morning. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that would definitely be awesome. Yeah. And yeah, we are still running the early watch at about 6:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Central, and 9:30 Eastern. Yeah. So
that means we've got live chat before our show, then our show at noon Eastern. We run about 90 minutes or something, an hour, 90 minutes. And then there's a gap there. So if anyone is thinking about running a show and you want to do it during what we call daytime hours, I guess, feel free to grab a slot and start doing one. If you want to do that daily or weekly or every twice a month, whatever you want to do, once a month. Or if someone wants to just open a lobby, like a lot of guys will, like you see Sean Fonnery, opening it up while he's working, or people will open it up and then go to work, like Pink and Pants, some of the other guys. So anybody that wants to participate like that, Gun Channels, like we say, is completely run by its members. Some of the stuff that we do now is sort of established things. Even the lobby itself was just a concept that Marine said one day. hey, we should just have an open lobby all the time, so when there's not a show going, people have a place to hang out, and that's literally become one of the big parts of Gun Channel. So everything about it, we didn't have a plan other than to create a place where content creators can create a incubator, is the cool tech savvy way of saying it, so that there's a place to hang out. So if you'd like to participate in that, you don't need to have some number of viewers, you don't have to have some quality of show, just have to have the interest in doing it, and then do it, and we'll be happy to help let people know about it. I'm sure the people that are out there watching it, like I say, they come to Gun Channels to watch stuff because they'd rather see real stuff made by human beings than some engineered crap by a marketing company to sell you something. And we've moved the show so that we could do this travel a little different, also so that we can open up some of those time slots. So we do appreciate, again, the people that jump over to this new time slot with us and watch us live. Like Jimmy keeps saying, that's a big part of the show. And hopefully that'll encourage some people to jump in and create the new version of whatever the hell Gun Channels will be 2 years from now.
Yeah, we've already got a ton of new people in here. Just not even talking over the last year, just over the last few months, we've been getting tons of new people in here. So it's really been awesome. And a lot of people are putting in a lot of effort. So yeah, I would say when I came in, maybe just a year and a half ago, there was like 10 chats going on. Now there's in the 20s, almost 30. So it's been a lot going on.
Yeah, I think it's people are really starting to see the value of Gun Channels as a secure place to put your videos into, to have these live discussions without having to worry about being, censored.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't really plan that because we are going to start censoring people.
Well, yeah, we do tend to censor a little bit, but I mean, that's mostly just stuff that everybody would agree on is, people being idiot trolls. But
we're going to eliminate 9mm talk. We're going to ignore the caliber.
Yeah. Sure. I like 357 better anyway. 357.
We didn't kind of pop quiz today.
Yeah, I know. This weekend I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff and get stuff together.
I don't want people to hate Jimmy, but whenever he doesn't do a pop quiz, he keeps the prizes. So I'm just saying.
He's got a closet full of them by this point, right?
Yeah.
Today was the gun. Whoops, I forgot to do the quiz.
Uh-oh. We'll save that for next month.
We'll keep that Python in my gun safe just to be safe.
No, but we will have a quiz going on next week for sure. And I got to get a nice little sound effect too, because that machine gun that I have is way too long.
What you have to do is, if we get to SHOT Show, you'll have to just record some real machine guns going off, and then a real machine gun.
Where do you see machine guns at SHOT Show?
They had machine gun. They had full auto there.
At the range, they did? Well, I guess we shot the Gatling. I thought they said 3-round burst only at the range.
Well, I don't know. I thought the guys, no. They had, some people were lighting off full mags.
Okay. Yeah, I know they changed the rules because I think the people that run the actual range, they changed their rules. So they may have changed. I didn't really shoot last year.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure I didn't shoot it, but I'm pretty sure other people were.
They didn't allow you because you're Canadian?
No, I didn't even ask. I just wasn't that interested. They were mostly ARs. I just don't see the point of having a gopher gun that's full auto. Just use up a lot of ammo. On that cheery note, let's end this. We have a quote today by Martin Luther King. Before that, I just want to remind everybody, please like, share, subscribe. And if you can, support us on the Patreon. The link will be in the description, the end of the in the YouTube video. So anyway, Martin Luther King. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Now, when he says demanded, he doesn't mean you burn places down, right? He just means that you have to make your voice heard that you want the system changed, which is what we can do against the Second Amendment, or not against the Second Amendment, but in support of the Second Amendment and against the laws that they're trying to pass. So on that note, thanks everybody. We'll see you again Monday.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.